Yeah.
I think they've been extremely unfair to you.
Who was they though? We can't say they is
corporate
can we?
press. I'm not using the. I don't use the word as the way I guess you guys use. I'm talking.
It is
about
them though, isn't it? I mean, because
No.
because when you think about it, consider it. In 2018.
What do you mean it's not?
What do I mean? Like, okay, so how about? Are you leaving?
Are you afraid of the press?
So was Kanye being Kanye, or was he actually set up? Talk about this dumpster fire or this disaster, whatever you want to call it, and of course there's going to be some background of why this is such a dumpster fire, but there are a few things we need to go through in this video, and don't worry, we are going to be discussing, obviously, Kanye West walking out during the Timcast Irl podcast, but also something else too. In this video, we're not just going to be discussing that, but we're also going to be discussing the Grifters and the plot that's going on. That's going to be 2 and 3. It's going to be the middle portion of the video. And at the end of the video, I'm going to be giving you guys a little story of what happened to me last night. Of course, this right involves a little bit of misinformation, because simply putting up a tweet like this right here, a little reply, somehow or another, it got circulated all over Twitter last night by a guy who wears a brick-colored suit or a brick-style suit and goes to every single Trump rally, and yet somehow or another, I got labeled as being owned and also being a, let's just say what Kanye West is being accused of. Yeah, somehow or other that happened. Of course, that said individual did take down that tweet, and he did apologize, but still, though, at the same time, though, we're going to be covering that because obviously misinformation is, in fact, a problem. Before we go any further, though, I got to go ahead and say that to all the people who are criticizing Tim Pool and to all the people who are criticizing Kanye West, I believe both of you guys have valid complaints, and I believe both of you guys are 100% correct. But I think there's something much, much deeper going on here, which, by the way, is going to be the meat of this actual video. Now, guys, the reason why I'm talking about this is because many people are saying, well, it's just Kanye West being Kanye West, and many people are saying Tim Pool, of course, wanted to interrupt, and he set this whole thing up wrong from the start. I do agree, however, that Tim Pool should have put this on Rumble, which is really weird because many people talk about using Rumble, but yet you have someone like, say, Kanye West coming on your show, and yet for whatever reason, the subject matter, you chose to put this on YouTube rather than Rumble, where on Rumble, you would have been a little bit freer to say whatever you wanted, while at the same time of not only saying what you wanted, you would also be running the risk of, like I said, not getting a strike. But at the same time, you'd also be promoting that platform and helping that platform out that you guys keep telling us small content creators to go to. Let's dive into the background before we start looking at some of this interview. And by the way, I've kind of narrowed a lot of this down into a bit of a collage of actual takes, so we'll be getting to that here soon. Also, you guys saw exactly where some of this content is coming from. There's obviously a little bit of commentary that came in from Steven Crowder this morning, obviously from another content creator who, by the way, shed some light on this a while back, a very good YouTube channel that I discovered the other day called Spoon. I advise you guys stick around for that. And also something else too, we're also going to be discussing Mark Dice, because I think he had the most rational take out of the entire ordeal. You see, most people have some resemblance of common sense. They realize that this right here is just more and more bullcrap that's all designed to feed the entertainment machine, to feed the actual news cycle. And of course, Tim Pool, unwittingly or maybe complicitly, is kind of playing along with this. So here's the background. As many of you guys know, and I did a video on this and released it on Monday. By the way, I'm going to try to release this video tonight, even though it's going to be a bit of a late night post. The thing is this right here. Kanye West had a dinner the other day with Donald Trump down in Mar-a-Lago. Now, guys, you can criticize the former president, and all of us conservatives are to a point where you can't criticize him. I mean, I know I criticize him a lot before I got on this platform in 2019 about his tweet saying somebody needs to go in there and take his phone. I personally criticized him to family and friends about the whole red flag law issue, which, by the way, almost lost my vote. So criticisms of politicians are obviously, even if they're politicians that you voted for or would vote for, are completely valid. I just want to go ahead and throw that out there because you got a lot of people, mostly dissimps, who are attacking Trump supporters as being Trump cultists, but yet we understand that the dissimps are being controlled by the same people who did not vote for him in 2016, who then decided to grift off him at a later date. That right there will be coming up in the misinformation section of this video. But let's go ahead and stay on topic. So here's the deal. Kanye is under a lot of fire right now. This is a guy who, quite frankly, has been drugged. This way is a guy who's been on medication. This way is a guy who's gone through a lot. I mean, this is also the same guy who was married to Kim Kardashian, who also got famous for screwing another rapper before Kanye even came around or came into the picture. Kanye's been through a lot, and of course, a good portion of this is also self-inflicted. It's one of the reasons why I've said, especially in that last video, that Kanye needs to do a better job at researching the people around him. Don't worry, Milo Yiannopoulos is a special section in this video because a lot more information just continues to come out about him. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people missed something very big because once Kanye left the set, a lot of people, of course, were in fact just cutting off the stream. There's a guy named Satellite Jack. I'll try to leave his stream in, or his last stream. I'll try to leave it in the description box of this video because he's actually got the comments that were circulating around Tim's actual episode. Now, I highly advise you guys go see it because a lot of people are turning on Poole, and quite frankly, I don't blame them over this because of the way Tim Poole constructed this entire interview. But at the same time, though, when you're dealing with Kanye West, you should be, in fact, fair warned that this type of stuff could happen. So what's the first actual criticism? Well, the way this whole entire thing was framed. I mean, the minute Kanye got in there, what's the first thing Tim Poole does? He pulls up an article. Let's just go ahead and roll the Crowder.
From The Hill, which is from earlier today at 5 p.m. Pence says Trump should apologize. It's wrong to give anti-Semite a seat at the table. This, of course, is related to a dinner that happened, and I was wrong a little on the details. So a dinner happened. Nick, you were there. Ye, you were there. I just want to start off by how did this dinner come to happen, and what happened?
I was talking to Trump for about a month. We had scheduled the dinner in October.
Trying to lock me up. That's what it, because every time I'm just holding stride, and it's like, I thought I was more Malcolm X, but I find out I'm more MLK because as I'm getting hosed down every day by the press and financially, I'm just standing there. And when I found out that they tried to put me in jail, it was like a dog was biting my arm, and I almost shed a tear, almost. But I still walked in stride through it. Yeah.
I think they've been extremely unfair to you.
Who was they though? We can't say who they is.
Corporate
can we?
press. I'm not using I don't use the word as the way I guess you guys use. I'm talking.
It is
about
them though, isn't it? I mean, because because when you think about it, consider it. In 2018.
What do you mean it's not?
What do I mean? Like, okay, so how about
already the walk off? That's a problem.
He's on.
Well, Kanye
I'll say it right now.
Ask him a question.
You guys, you guys want to bring that stuff up, and then think we're not going to have a conversation.
Have the discussion.
Like you think Ye's going to come in here and say, "Here's my pain, here's my suffering." I'm going to say, "I hear you," and then he's going to say, "And it was Jewish people," and I'm going to be like, "Okay, but don't you consider?" So I'm not going to do this. I refuse.
Make sure he's cool.
Yeah, so look, that's a problem if you're running for office, period, especially if you're running for office on the platform of free speech and exchange of ideas, right? If you ask someone a question and they disagree with you in a way that I think is pretty respectful, you can't walk off in a huff. That about tells you how capable Kanye West is at being potentially president of the United States.
Two very important things. Number one, you're kind of goading Kanye into saying some stuff that could get you and him both banned. Also, something else to go on top of this, you guys notice that Mike Pence has been making his ways around. By the way, I've been thinking for a while that what would happen is that in 2024, Trump would have to run against 7 other candidates. Of course, he would be him here on this side over here, DeSantis over here, and there'd be like 6 other candidates in the middle that would just simply serve to attack Donald Trump. I just figure I would throw that out there. And of course, Tim, whether he knows or not, is kind of feeding into this. But the thing is this right here. The way this entire thing was set up also kind of proves something else, which, by the way, we'll touch back on here in a second, is that the whole notion of Trump knowing who Nick Fuentes was, which, by the way, I've kind of sort of alluded to in previous videos. I didn't think he actually knew who he was. And, of course, you've got Kanye West basically saying, no, he didn't know who he was. I mean, do I need to roll it again?
It's everyone's volume.
Okay, cool. And we sat there, and it was like when Trump came in, I said, do you want to sit alone? He's like, no, bring your friends in. So a big thing is like Trump had no idea who Nick Fuentes was. But this whole, I just got to go right to the heart of this setup to be like defending. I'm not going to go through another, like I'm literally going to walk the F off the show if I'm sitting up here having a, talk about you can't say that it was Jewish people that did it when every sensible person knows that. I mean, Jon Stewart knows what happened to me and they took it too far. It was like American History X. Like my head was on the side of the curve and the exact people that I called out kicked my head. We found out that my trainer was a MK Ultra Canadian intelligence.
Still, though, this right here continues to be a story. Now, guys, one of the people that I researched, or one of the YouTube channels that made an extremely good point to kind of lay down on what was going on here, was a small channel, which, by the way, I will leave in the description box of this video for you guys to go check out. A guy by the name of Spoon, who, by the way, made a very, very good assessment on this. We'll get to that shortly, because there's going to be in the Grifter section of this video. But see, Tim is also being called out for hypocrisy. You see, Tim brought up the fact that Kanye, of course, is running for president in 2024, which I've already told you guys before, I think is a bit of a joke. But of course, Tim, being half Asian, had to bring this up.
Is one way to put it is you're expounding upon a localization issue that you've witnessed, right? Let me clarify. There are a handful of people that you see are Jewish in a certain place, and then you associate Judaism with the power, whereas I view that as not relevant to it. Like, yeah, you're substantially more powerful than I am, but I don't view what you're doing as an issue of black people.
Yeah, but have you ever heard the term the black vote? So it's okay to put us in one net, but it's not okay for me to put them in one net.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's the basis of the hypocrisy that people have been thinking about and knowing about and realizing for decades. We were all wondering how this dam was going to break. Everybody in the country was wondering, what is the root of this hypocrisy? Why can people talk about white people a certain way? Why can't they talk about that group a certain way? And the wretched and wicked and oppressive prevailing orthodoxy of cancel culture, well, it turned out that the one thing that was going to break the dam was the biggest star in the world, and it took the biggest star in the world to do it. And now the dam is broken.
So let me tell you my issue. I don't like identitarianism. You guys are familiar with what that is?
Well, they started it, and they've been visiting on us. We're trying to break it.
When I was asking you about running for president, you immediately said, well, you'd be good for the black vote. And I said, is that because I'm black? No, not just because of that. So is that, are you doing the same thing?
I didn't say that was the only reason. I said it was because you're personable to the common person, and you probably would do well with the black vote. Absolutely.
Just because I'm black? Because a lot of black people don't like me.
Of course. I think race plays a role in a lot of things. Absolutely. And I think that I think the construct of race has really been forced upon us as just something for us to be woke about and just constantly talk about and use it as these like walls. Couldn't you say the same thing about Judaism?
Well,
it is widely assumed that because a candidate is black, that they're going to certainly get a large swath of the black vote. I hate to tell you this, but historically, black people have been voting Democrat at a very, very high clip since the Great Depression. Many people think it was Kennedy. Many people thought it was Lyndon LBJ. No, it was actually goes a lot further back than that. It goes back to the policies and the policies of the New Deal, the stuff that was pitched there. So, no, that's not always the case. However, I did make the point in my previous video that I felt that if Kanye West ran for president, say third party, the only thing that would happen is that he would probably take away 9%, maybe 6 to 9% of the total vote, of which the only thing he would get would be young African Americans, and he would also get mostly college kids, actual groups of actual voters that for the most part end up voting Democrat anyway if they actually vote. And I basically said, you know what, let him go ahead and run. I don't know what Tim is trying to get at there with that, but at the same time, though, it does seem a little bit hypocritical. And, of course, you guys obviously saw how Kanye felt that people were being put into a box, or how it is that blacks were being put into a box, which, quite frankly, I understand why he would not want to have to deal with that question. Kanye, by the way, unless you guys already heard it earlier in this actual video, Kanye did, in fact, tell Tim beforehand, look, if this person's going to be like Lex Fridman, I'm going to get on a plane and I'm just going to go ahead and leave. By the way, Kanye is also not entirely, how do I say, used to interviewing with the plebs. I know I'm saying, by the way, a lot. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking about changing the name of the channel to, by the way, from John Claymore, or by the way, featuring John Claymore. I don't know. But still, though, at the same time, though, it just seemed like a lot of things were out of place. And, of course, the criticisms that are being laid on both sides here, I think, are completely valid. Kanye, if you're going to say something, man, you need to be able to actually come out and actually articulate your views. Maybe you should learn to articulate in a way that will not get you banned. However, Tim, you need to structure an interview in a way in which, quite frankly, it does not look like he is going to get banned or feel like he is going to get trapped. You see, I think the criticisms of both sides are actually valid. I know a lot of people are crapping on Tim, but then again, a lot of people are also crapping on Kanye as well. Now, guys, let me go ahead and make this point right here before I get to, I just call it now the Psyop section, which, by the way, is going to be bringing up we're going to be going back to that actual clip of Kanye at the very, very beginning, which came from Crowder. I want to go ahead and make this point really quick. Tell you guys two very, very quick stories. There's a reason why people automatically assume that the black vote would go to somebody who's naturally black. By the way, Kanye did say there are black people who don't like him. As a matter of fact, there are black and white people both who like Kanye based not on his political views, but because of his music. Let me go ahead and lay this out for you guys. Of course, I have to write everything down. About, I want to say it was back in 2016. I was sitting out at a bench, the Gazette, right outside of the gazebo, the gazebo right outside the college, right there in the front area of the building that I was doing class at. And we were talking just basic life, and I had an old black lady and a black guy in there with me, and they started going back and forth. And then I was like, okay, so why was it that you guys did vote for Obama? Both of them naturally said, well, because we felt like we were getting one of our own into office. So I automatically took that as, okay, well, maybe the reason why this happened is because, and by the way, like I said, we were talking about life. Politics wasn't even in, I didn't even bring it up. They actually, I think the woman did. She was talking about Obama, how she thought Obama was a bit of a failure, and they got into it. And I said, well, why did you guys even vote for him if that's the case? And like I said, she said, because it felt like we were getting one of our own. He basically said the exact same thing. Fast forward to 2021. I am sitting in Precision Auto Care where I live at, waiting to get the oil change and also waiting to get some additional maintenance on my vehicle. I am talking to three other gentlemen. Two of these guys are older. One of them is a veteran, and we're talking about guns and all kinds of stuff. And next thing you know, we start talking about gun laws. And then out of the middle of nowhere, the younger guy who was wearing chains, gold chains, of course, wearing a Tommy Hilfiger sweatshirt, who, by the way, was driving a Lexus, was talking about how bad his situation in life was and how happy he was that Donald Trump was out of office. Well, none of us really said anything, and then I said, okay, so I'm guessing that you're happy. Next thing I know, he said, well, it looks like we got ourselves a black woman in office in Kamala Harris, and I said, she's half Indian, half Asian. He said, I don't care. It's black enough for me. You see, this right here is where that stereotype comes from. And I understand that it's a little bit anecdotal, but I'm just giving you guys an example of where this, just because he's black, they will vote black actual comments or the actual feeling comes from. Now to the Psyop. Now, guys, we're going to run that Crowder clip back one more time. I want to catch you guys on the flip side and explain to you exactly what this entire thing is really and truly about.
From the Hill, which is from earlier today at 5 p.m., Pence says Trump should apologize. It's wrong to give anti-Semite a seat at the table. This, of course, is related to a dinner that happened, and I was wrong a little on the details. So a dinner happened. Nick, you were there. Ye, you were there. I just want to start off by, how did this dinner come to happen, and what happened?
I was talking to Trump for about a month. We had scheduled the dinner in October.
Okay, so that's.
You see, guys, this entire thing keeps coming right back to Donald Trump. It keeps coming right back to the dinner at Mar-a-Lago. It keeps coming right back to it like a circle, like a cycle. Has anybody thought that these types of attacks just will not work? And the reason why I say they will not work is because I'm pretty sure that about 80% of the people in America automatically think that Kanye West is a bit of a loon. Also, something else, too. The media has labeled anybody and everybody who voted for Donald Trump a white supremacist. So that right there, in my opinion, kind of sort of narrows it down in saying that this right here, once again, is yet another distraction designed to put focus on the former president of the United States. And obviously, Kanye West was used as a setup. Which brings me to my favorite portion of this video, Milo Yiannopoulos. Now, guys, Milo was getting praise a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. Hell, even myself, I kind of joined in a little bit too, even though I didn't do a video on it, where Milo went on the Timcast Irl, and of course he told them that Donald Trump was going to get the nomination without any type of fight at all. He called him Daddy Trump on multiple occasions. Daddy Trump. I mean, dude, look, I voted for the guy twice. I'm going to vote for him a third time, but even I would not call him Daddy Trump because he is not my freaking daddy. Obviously, you guys see that this right here is a grift because you see Milo Yiannopoulos, I think, with Nick Fuentes are both taking advantage of Kanye, as we'll get to here in a second. But Milo is very, very weird. Milo is hilarious because you see, Milo was caught recently. It was by way of Laura Limmer, by the way. was releasing text messages believing that Kanye West is gay. By the way, Milo Yiannopoulos is in fact gay, or he was gay at one point in time. He claims that he has converted, and of course he's trying to reinvent himself. But the person that I think maybe have allayed this entire situation or explained this the best way was probably this little channel called Spoon. Let's go ahead and roll
here,
this.
genius. If you're apparently running for president, which I don't believe, why are you trying to give Trump what sounds like campaign advice? It makes no sense. As far as January 6th goes, I don't know the timeline or what Trump was capable of doing at the time.
He basically gives me this would-be mob-esque kind of story, talking to some kid from the south side of Chicago trying to sound mobby or whatever. He goes into the story about all that he went through to get Alice Johnson out of jail and how he didn't do it for Kim, but he did it for me. But then he goes on to say that Kim is a and you could tell her I said that. And I was thinking, like, that's the mother of my children.
Who gives a shit? Your wife is famous for banging a rapper before you. And by that I mean before Kanye banged her, not before he banged the same rapper, because kind of sounds like that's what I'm implying. You don't have an eye for quality. No one thinks the Kardashians are a family worthy of any emulation, by the way. Hell, many see the fact that the Kardashians are famous at all as a sign of civilization's decline. I happen to be one of those people, by the way. You walked into his house and apparently said you're running for president, and then you seem surprised that he's pissed off. That is having to do with his business. We also discussed to a lesser extent politics, where I told him he should definitely not run for president. Any voters you may have should vote for Trump. I don't know why Trump is referring to himself in the third person, but anyway. Anyway, we got along great. He expressed no anti-Semitism, because of course Trump has to say that, and I appreciate all of the nice things he said about me on Tucker Carlson. Why wouldn't I agree to meet? Also, I didn't know Nick Fuentes. Also said Kanye unexpectedly showed up with 3 friends whom Trump knew nothing about. They had dinner on the back patio. Dinner was quick and uneventful. Then I heard some BS about there was a large group of people trying to get their picture taken with Kanye, not so much with Trump. Which is not a surprise, by the way. The vast majority of Kanye's fans are not into politics. They like him in spite of his association with Trump, not because of it. And if they are on Trump's property, I'm not surprised why he wants them all to piss off. Now, as far as my reaction goes, that is to what Kanye said in the video. But do I believe a word of what Kanye said? Hell no. The man's a lunatic. He lives in his own bloody world. Frankly, I think Milo and Fuentes are just using him to get closer to Trump and maybe make a buck or two out of the whole thing in the process. Which leads me to the 3 stooges involved in this bizarre timeline that scream shady. Kanye, Milo, and Fuentes. Now, what do these men and Milo have in common? Trump made all of them big or bigger. And you see this the way the media is trying to spin the reports on this stupid crap. It's a distraction, pure, and because the main sort of antagonist in this little scenario, this little episode over here, is himself and little Fuentes. Now, how the hell Fuentes ever came in contact with Kanye West, who the hell knows, but I somehow doubt Mr. I walked in there with intelligence didn't do his homework on him. And then again, you never know. Kanye He doesn't exactly come across as a bright bloke, more the firing from the hip spray and pray sort of chap. Now, if you're familiar with the guy, given how the media reacted to the Leo the Dorco that is Fuentes, you can see the transparency that is their angle. We're back again with the white supremacy shtick. That didn't work the first time around a year ago, hasn't worked since, so why the hell they think it's going to work now, that's anybody's guess. And to burn the bridge while giving the legacy media a green light to try and smear Trump with a label that hasn't worked in the better part of a decade. Regardless, it makes Kanye look like a self-serving, egotistical asshole. Then, of course, we have Nick Fuentes, who frankly is an irrelevant little dweeb, and I cannot unhear the racial and sexual slurs leveled at him by Mr. America. Funniest shit I've seen in ages. And lastly, we've got Milo, who is radiates attention like a fly to shit, because that is what he is. He is a shit stirrer. He is an uber narcissist who has no principles whatsoever. I remember him on Tim. He claimed Trump has that spark of magical energy and he has some of that. I just laughed. No, you don't, kid. You can suck yourself off as much as you want, but you don't have nearly that kind of star power, and you never will. Milo doesn't make any waves, he rides them. There's a reason why after Trump attained office, Milo fell off the radar, because he is a counterfigure. He is nothing but a cultural gimmick. And now that Trump has declared he's running, he and the rest want to feed off Trump again. They want to recreate the mid-2010s because they're nothing but a bunch of parasites. And that is all for today.
So basically, grifters and loons. Let's see, Fuentes trying to stay relevant. Don't worry, we're gonna be coming back to this, especially in the Mark Dice clip, because Mark Dice, I think, laid out let's just say that he provided more receipts on what exactly Milo Yiannopoulos is up to. So, yes, I think if you look at the way this entire thing was structured, I think if you look at the characters involved, this thing right here was, in fact, a great, big, giant setup. I think that Milo is grifting off of Kanye to get some form of relevance, and I think that Nick Fuentes is just trying to stay relevant. Now, there is one last portion of this entire video that we need to go over, because there is something that, quite frankly, a lot of people missed, because, once again, a lot of people cut the stream off the minute Kanye left. Let's go ahead and roll this.
I think Milo is a genius. Just because, but Milo's a very, very smart guy, and he's extremely funny, and he's very, very witty. And I think the stupidest thing the establishment did was cancel him. The stupidest thing Republicans did was cancel him, because this is Milo's revenge. Milo said on the show last time he was here that Trump supporters wanted revenge. And now the narrative going around is that what's happened with Nick Fuentes at Trump's dinner and with Ye is revenge on Trump, because Trump's reeling from this. So, you know what I'll do? Let's pull this up. Take a look at this tweet. We'll get some segments out of this. Igor Bobek. He is a senior politics reporter, Huffington Post. You know we love Huffington Post. He says GOP Senator Thune on Trump Fuentes dinner. That's just a bad idea on every level. Then he's got Frank Thorpe. We cannot tolerate anti-Semitism. It's bad, says Cornyn Blunt. I've been tired about responding about what President Trump did. I wouldn't want to have dinner with either of those guys. Ernst, I think it's ridiculous. The point is, every single Republican is now coming after Trump over having done this. And Milo's the one who connected it. So I'd love to ask Milo, you said years ago that you wanted revenge over the treatment that you received after being canceled. Is this it?
You see, guys, the reason why I find this right here to be extremely interesting is because Tim Pool was kind of pointing out his own setup, whether he wants to admit to it or not. Or maybe Tim Pool really and truly was kind of a useful idiot here and didn't exactly expect to have what happened to happen. I personally think there's no way in hell you cannot see somebody like Kanye basically telling you, look, if you talk to me a certain way, I'm going to leave. Or if I feel a certain way, I'm going to leave. Here's the truth. You see that all these Republican senators are tweeting, not to mention the fact that Bill Cassidy, another senator, the Louisiana senator, also tweeted out that he thought it was disgraceful that Trump would have dinner with these people, which, by the way, as you will see in the Mark Dice section, which really kind of makes a lot of sense about Trump's character, people don't seem to realize that these are politicians. They play a game, okay? John Cornyn, he got reelected in 2020. What did he do? He screwed the voters over on what? Gun control, okay? He wants to distance himself away from Donald Trump. Well, let me explain something to you guys right quick. He's not up for re-election until 2026. Cassidy's not up for re-election until 2026. Tom Cotton is not up for re-election until 2026. Mitch McConnell is not up for re-election, nor Lindsey Graham or Tom Tillis until 2026. You see, the fact of the matter is that every single one of these senators had to use Donald Trump to drag them across the finish line, and of course, they're not even bothering to defend him, or at least look into the situation, or at least ask questions about the situation. They are blindly saying we do not want him in 2024. Now, guys, I want you guys to think about something really quick. If these senators are not going to be out of office, that means that obviously these people use the former president to get clout. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Why in the hell do you think they would actually turn on Donald Trump so freaking fast, just like that right there? Why in the hell would they do that? Well, you see, if Donald Trump runs for president in 2024, as polling data indicates, as much as the media tries to tell us that he'll lose, Donald Trump would more than likely still win. He would probably get beyond the fortifications, which, by the way, we're not allowed to talk about here on YouTube. Cite the 2021 February issue of Time Life, not to mention what's going on in Arizona. The thing that you have to understand is this right here. If he is to get reelected in what would have been a non-consecutive second term, he would have the power to primary all these people out, because he basically would be completely beholden to no one. This is another one of the real reasons why I'm still very, very much on the Trump train, is because I understand that a president in a second term, which, by the way, would be a non-consecutive term, would be able to primary these said individuals out. You guys kind of pick up on what I'm saying. He would actually have that power because he would not be beholden to party. And quite frankly, I myself am getting sick and tired of the party politics. One last point before we get to the next portion of this video, before we get to Mark Dice, I've got to throw this out here right now. I hear a lot of people saying, well, he endorsed these senators. Yeah, he endorsed those senators because he was a sitting president in a re-election year. You see, this is the problem with politics, and this is the problem with brand new people in politics. They don't know shit about anything. They think they know everything, but in reality, they don't know shit. That right there is the actual truth. Do you think that an incumbent president who is about to get reelected or running for reelection is going to suddenly withdraw any type of endorsement? Or do you think he's going to throw someone under the bus whose voter base he may need to get reelected? The amount of stupidity here is absolutely hilarious. This is one of the reasons why I tell people, don't listen to Carl and Borisenko. Don't listen to half the damn bots on Twitter. Don't listen to idiots like Mike Thurnovich. Don't listen to Meghan McCain. Don't listen to exposed idiots out there who then tell you, well, he's a part of the establishment. He basically did what every president would do before a re-election. With that right there being said, let's get to the most rational take out of this entire ordeal, Mark Dice.
Pundit throwing in their 2 cents and seemingly picking a side, but I think they both look bad. Kanye didn't want to be constantly interrupted and put through another struggle session when he tried to explain what it was that he experienced in the entertainment industry and what he sees as the cause of his cancellation.
You know, to come in here, I feel like it's a setup to be like defending. I'm not going to go through another, like I'm literally going to walk the F off the show if I'm sitting up here having a, talk about, you can't say that it was Jewish people that did it.
But if you're going to bring forth controversial ideas like he's been talking about, you should definitely expect a lot of pushback and be prepared to make your case, especially since he had 2 sidekicks along with him to back him up. And Tim should have let him explain himself further without interrupting and pushing back every few minutes out of concern that if he didn't, that the media would smear him as endorsing Kanye West's supposed anti-Semitism. That is a conversation that's not allowed to be had by people if they're being fully honest. To be had on YouTube in today's cancel culture climate, and if it would have progressed any further, YouTube would have pulled the stream and issued a strike on his channel. Tim should have exclusively streamed it on Rumble, which actually allows such discussions to be held. It's interesting to point out that if Kanye West made the exact same comments about white people as he is about another group of people that he has experienced working with, then he would be praised as a hero by the entire liberal media industrial complex instead of completely canceled.
Is this a rule? The rules of perception. If they're black, then it's a gang. If they're Italian, it's a mob. But if they're Jewish, it's a coincidence, and you should never speak about it.
What most people are missing about this, and what the media is purposely ignoring, is Milo Yiannopoulos, who has reinvented himself as a supposed ex-gay Catholic, he says now, is pulling Kanye West's strings to a certain extent, and is his new presidential campaign manager, and he's the one who introduced Kanye and his new friend. And some of Milo's old posts on Parler are very interesting, where he said that he was going to dedicate the rest of his life to destroying the Republican Party, and has denounced President Trump, saying that he feels totally betrayed and that he will, quote, have...
And to add to this right here, and I understand that the Dice clip just ran, I got to talk about one more person that you may want to pay very, very close attention to before we get to the final section of this video. Now, guys, so far in this video, what have we concluded? We have concluded that this right here more than likely was a setup. We have concluded that Milo Yiannopoulos is a grifter. We have also concluded that Nick Fuentes also needs some type of relevancy. We have also concluded that Tim Pool did this right here very, very badly. We have also concluded, guess what, number 5, this right here once again is another Psyop. Once again, it connects back to Trump. That's 6 main points that we have. However, there is another point that we need to make. We need to talk about those whose grifting is so absolutely obvious. It is absolutely hilarious. This morning when I woke up, and by the way, this video was actually originally done in the morning, of course, it being Tuesday morning, but of course I had to delete it because of the way it was structured, and I'm here redoing it again when I had a chance. There was one person I woke up to this morning who had a take on the whole dinner thing, and it was the Officer Brandon Tatum. It was this video right here. By the way, we're not going to play any clips, but I will leave it in the comment section for you. This right here is the comments that were actually laid on that video. You see, the Officer Brandon Tatum, he claims that he was a former Democrat that got red-pilled. He goes out there, he wears the shirt with Trump on it with the Make America Great Again writing on his chest like he's some type of gangster. And of course, he's gone back and forth between whether he still supports Trump or whether he supports DeSantis. And of course, he was all about the whole thing where Candace Owens came out and said that Trump had sold her, when in reality, the only thing he did was get short with it. You see, these people are creating bullshit where bullshit does not freaking exist. And Officer Brandon Tatum is another example of this. B-Tape, by the way, he got famous with his little war with the amazing Lucas, who, by the way, eventually lost the vast majority of his audience as well. You see, I think that B-Tape's also going to have to find a way to deal with this himself, because you see a lot of people are starting to catch on to him. People are starting to catch on to him because they know that a lot of his takes are a good old-fashioned grift or walk behind another take. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Some content creators, I've done this for myself before, we will come out and we'll make a very declarative statement early on inside of a video to try to hook your attention. A lot of times he'll say something. My personal favorite was that one when he said, oh, she got her to move off the stage. Of course, this was in reference to the whole Candace Owens, Nicole Arbor take where they were going back and forth on cancel culture. Of course, B-Tape, being kind of tribal, he chose to side with Candace, even though both of them made very, very good points. I don't agree with both sides. I actually agree with both of them, but the fact of the matter is that he's simply just walking behind other people. Some of these people's grift is so obvious, it is absolutely ridiculous that they hide it behind a certain facial expression. And guys, this right here is where I'm going to end the video at. And I know it's been a very, very long and arduous video, a very long and arduous affair, but I got to tell you my story from last night because it makes perfect sense about this entire ordeal. Guys, I am a Christian, okay? I'm not the best Christian in the world. I do believe in God. I do believe Jesus Christ was the Son of God. I do think that most of your atheists don't make very, very good arguments for atheism because they can't seem to understand that we don't come from nothing, okay? I want to go ahead and throw that out there right now. I, on Twitter, have been accused of being a shrill for Israel. While I am pro-Israel, I don't want to see that country get nuked, and I kind of feel as a Christian, it's kind of my duty for us to sort of bless Israel. I do think there are different ways around it. If I lose followers over this, so frickin' be it, okay? I give a little bit of money to the International Fellowship of Jews every month. I also give money in my father's name to the Jimmy V Foundation because my father was a cancer patient before he died. I also give money every month in a subscription to the Wounded Warrior Project because I want to see my brothers in arms get the help that they need, because you never know, I may need it as well, because I too am a veteran who also suffers from some of the same stuff that they suffer with as well. It's the way it is. So I put that tweet up there. Yeah, Ye said F this and walked out. Next thing you know, I get a lot of comments back to me, basically saying that, you know, making fun of me, like, hey, look, you know, maybe this guy here is a Kanye fan. Maybe he's anti-Semitic. Then it led to Amanda Milius. Now, guys, some of you may not know who Amanda Milius is, but let me go ahead and pop this little avatar up for you. This right here is the avatar that I use for the channel. It is a photo of John Milius, okay? I've even thought about doing an homage, like the same photo, except replacing it with me, or maybe the photo of Billy the Kid. I've thought about doing that. Now, John Milius was known to be a troll, okay? John Milius is the same guy who helped do the screen rewrites on the... yeah, my chair's squeaking. But he also did helped do the actual screen rewrites on Apocalypse Now. He also rewrote the script for Red Dawn, which, by the way, was originally called 10 Soldiers, and it was written by Kevin Reynolds. I figured I'd throw that out there. Amanda Milius is the daughter of John Milius. And obviously she saw this and she thought somebody was, I don't know. I'll leave that right there up to you guys. And then out of the middle of nowhere, I get these tweets saying, you just got owned. You just got owned by the brick suit guy who goes to every single Trump rally. Could you be more of a dumbass, dude? Could you be more of an idiot? I responded back to him, informed him exactly of what the hell it was. I was just simply saying that Kanye West simply walked off the set. Do you guys see how the misinformation worked? These people tried to label me as a Kanye backer and an anti-Semite. Okay? Now, of course, Brick Suit Guy, he would eventually apologize. But just remember, next time that you watch Right Side Broadcasting and you watch a Trump rally and you see this guy walking around in a brick suit, just know that this guy's a moron. With that, guys, we're going to go ahead and end the video now. Guys, John Claymore here. If you guys think I missed anything or if you got any disagreements, leave them in the comment section. It's good to go. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, share the video stuff in the comment section. This video is probably going to be out late tonight, and I'll see you guys later.